Hi, my name is Eliza and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am working on a van series where I am renovating this Toyota Hiace to make it my dream camper van and take it traveling all over Australia with my cat Bagheera. I'm so sorry about my voice, I'm a bit sick right now. I have a super exciting video for you today. I literally cannot wait for you guys to see this. So I won't talk too much so you can get straight into it. But today is all about painting the exterior of my van. The last video that's on my YouTube channel is painting the interior of my van. And that was super fun. But today is all about the exterior and turning it from an ugly looking van to something that's a little bit more me. Oh my gosh, someone wants to come join. Hi. Come join me, come here. Come on. Go in. This is my cat Bagheera, by the way. So with this video, obviously I'm painting the exterior of the van, but I have a little bit of prep work that I have to do beforehand. But if you're not interested in any of that, I'll put a timestamp of when you can actually look at the satisfying painting part, because I understand that that's the fun part and the fun part is not the prep beforehand. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it's super exciting for you because I'm super excited to show you. I'm so excited to show you. I'm so excited. Okay, enjoy. Today I'm doing some prep work before we are able to paint. Yesterday I ripped off the radio that I had because originally I didn't want it, and now that I do want it, I got rid of the power cord and I just cannot be bothered to think about it right now. I also took off the kind of like tint outside like privacy cover from this window because I don't want that. It kind of meant that one side of the van had a bunch of light and the other side had practically none. If I'm being honest, that has never felt like a window to me. So lots of light. And I also took off a sensor, so I'm gonna do a little bit more prep work. So I have to cover all those holes that had screws in it, and I also have to make sure that I re-silicone some of the windows, potentially sand down a couple of areas. I was hoping to only have to sand these areas. As I said, I was hoping to only have to go over these areas with a sander, but I realized that the rust was a little bit deeper than I originally thought, so I had to wire brush everything. And this here is just me wiping it down with methylated spirit so it's all clean for the next step. I need to put some rust converter on top of all my rust. Before anyone starts yelling at me in the comments for my decision making, none of these rust areas were deep at all. I did have to properly patch up with fiberglass in the interior of my van, but none of these areas were deep enough for that. After the rust converter was dry, I was able to move on to the silicone. This ended up biting me in the bum hole later. In the moment, I thought it was a really good idea because then it would avoid any further rust problems so no water could come through. But I'll explain later why it was a terrible idea. I'm starting to sand around the sides of this van. I'm mainly focusing on the areas that have these big blocks. I thought that they were covering some like words or something, and they could be, but I just can't get like sand it down enough to see whatever it was. But because it was painted over in a thick layer of paint, there was kind of like a lip. So now I've sanded around the sides, so hopefully if I put paint over the top of it, you won't be able to see where the boxes previously were. It's a bit hard to sand it all off just because it would take hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So I'm focusing on the areas that probably need it the most. And I'll go over every inch of the van with the highest grit that I have. Not that you guys care, but if you're wondering what the rip in my pants are, these are my work overalls and I am wearing shorts underneath, so don't worry. But I am totally aware that the rips exist. These are just the clothes that I wear while working on the van. I've done a ridiculous amount of sanding and I don't really think I'm gonna make it any smoother than it already is. So I'm going to wipe down the van and make it as clean as possible in preparation for the paint to go on. I don't have the highest of hopes for this paint job to look amazing, but you know, I tried my hardest, so can only do that. We're getting on to some very exciting stuff. I just moved my van to my parents' house, so hopefully I have enough room to actually start painting it. I'm hoping at minimum today I can try to prep everything and get it ready for tomorrow to paint. I have a tiny bit more sanding to do on specifically just the roof. We're turning into a Smurf. And then I will have to wipe everything down, and then yeah, I can start prepping by taping a couple things that I don't want paint to be on. We'll see how it goes. So I've taken a couple of before photos so that we can have a before and after reveal. If you're wondering, this van currently doesn't have a name, but it did have an old name which was called G or Gina or Jesus, because it kind of looked like it had a lot of religious symbols. Also, the back of it kind of looks like a G-string. So what's left for me today is to cover up all of the parts that I don't want to paint, like the windows, and I guess the windscreen wipers, the wheels, the fans, all that sort of stuff. And then hopefully I can move on to the actual painting. I just kind of went into it and didn't read any of the instructions, so that's super cool. I'm so happy right now. Say goodbye to Jesus, man. This is like this because I did wipe it just because it's drooping so much. But I obviously am putting too much paint on at a time. On top of that, this paint is cracking. I'm worried because the bottom paint is actually getting wet. So you're getting a little bit of blue off this, which is really interesting. When doing this primer coat was when I realized my mistake with the silicone. Silicone is supposed to be applied after painting, and I thought that that was just like a suggestion. So when I got to around the windows, the plastic was coming off and flying around, which meant that the paint got on the actual windows and ended up being very messy and no straight lines. On top of that, the paint barely even stuck on the silicone, so it was very weird and patchy. Off camera, I put some more garbage bags around the bottom of the van, so now I'm going to spray the top with a cream. This could go terribly because I just have a lot of problems with the spray paint thing, and specifically the type of paint it is. It's like this metal enamel paint. I'm just gonna try it out and do one layer today. Apparently it's supposed to like sprinkle a little bit, so I don't know if that will be good for the paint at all. So as I mentioned, there were a lot of problems with this paint. You are supposed to thin down a paint when you're using a spray bottle, but this paint didn't specify what to thin it down with, and I didn't want to risk ruining it. This cream paint was unfortunately a little bit thicker than the primer that I had, so this was even more annoying than the primer, and I was having even more problems as well. It took such a long time because it took a while to spray out of the actual gun. Not gonna lie, this is not going quite well. The paint is too thick and it's not making it look very good. On top of that, it is sprinkling. It's really cool. Something devastating happened as soon as I stopped painting. It started raining, which is a bit sad. Fortunately, this paint doesn't really get impacted by water. It like doesn't come up with water. The cream layer is a little bit thicker, so the paint is a little bit textured anyways. So the water droplets didn't do too much because it was already kind of textured. It might just end up being a really textured car, but that's okay. Even though the cream layer was kind of a disaster, I still needed to do a second coat, so this is what you're seeing here. If you're wondering, the color that I'm using right now is called Smooth Beach, which I like, but it probably wasn't the perfect pick for this. After the cream paint was touch dry, I could finally take off the plastic that was covering the bottom half. Then I could replace the plastic so that the top half was covered, ready for the next steps. I have now covered up the upper half. But yeah, we're nearly at the second half, and I'll hopefully do 2 coats of this, and hopefully everything goes really well. The green is done, or at least the first layer of the green is done. I'm actually really happy with it. I think that the colors aren't exactly what I want, but I don't know. I just feel like the cream is too weird. Like maybe I wanted one that's a little bit more white. But I don't know, I like the green. The green was much easier to put on than the cream. The green is definitely very, very patchy, but I'm gonna go over it again tomorrow. This is what the van looks like on day 2 of the green, so I need to do the second coat of the green. And I think it looks really, really good in comparison to what it looked like before. You know, some of my biggest concerns were that like this big box that was here wouldn't go away, and like the 2 boxes here wouldn't go away, but so far everything has been really, really covered up after I've gotten the second coat done. I'm hoping to rip down all of these garbage bags. We'll get on to the green painting. So that's it for the painting. As a reminder, this is what the van looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. Although the blue was quite funky, it just wasn't my vibe, and I'm so happy with the end result now. I really hope you guys like it too. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I know it's a little bit more basic than it looked like before, but I'm happy. Of course, the last step was to take off all of the plastic and reveal the beautiful crisp line that I made. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was enjoyable, and I hope that you're happy with the result of the van, because I am so happy. I think it looks so much better than it did before. If you're interested in supporting me further, you can go check out my other social medias, and you can find a lot more content on my Patreon, so go check that out. But for now, thank you so much for watching us, and stay tuned for the rest of the van renovation series, because I have a lot behind this curtain to show you. So thanks for watching. See you next time.